Hey everybody, Todd here, and welcome back to another Wellness Talks Brief. So today I'm going to look at one of the most important topics that I often cover in session, and that is understanding functions of behavior. In particular, I'm going to focus more heavily on three specific ones that tend to come up often as they get in the way of us trying to move towards those things that we would like to have more of in our lives. Now, while there are more than just three, these three tend to be the culprits, the things that we continuously will try to do without even realizing that we're trying to do them, that get in the way of us moving towards the things that we would like to have more of in our life. In other words, if you can understand these three things and begin to look for them in your interactions, in what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, then you might be able to get out of the trap of thinking that you can do the same thing that you always do that doesn't give you the result that you want. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So stick around and I'll walk you through what this concept is and how to utilize it in your day-to-day, especially with those recurring thoughts, those behaviors that you keep doing, as a way to back up, unpack, and see what those are so that you can then be free to move in a different direction. All right, so I'm just going to jump right in. The three main functions that we often utilize in dealing with difficult thoughts, memories, emotions, and personal experiences are just simply trying to escape, avoid, or control. Now, to break those down further, escape. The function of escape. There is a situation that you find yourself in, such as doing a test, doing your homework, driving a car, shopping, at work, something. And something happens externally, or maybe a memory of something that once happened shows up wherever you're at. The primary function of a lot of the different actions that you would most likely try to do would be to try to escape from that place, that situation. So that's the escape component. Control. With the function of control, once again, something happens, a memory comes up, there's an interaction, and you will automatically try to control, to manipulate the situation to keep that emotion and that situation under wraps. And then finally, avoid. Like, it's going to be awkward, and you know it's going to be awkward. It's a difficult conversation. It's a test that you have to pass. It's the day on a job and you know that it's going to be more challenging. And so the strategy of avoid would be to call in sick, to avoid the test altogether, to not register for the test, to not prepare for the test. And so we begin to do these three things, and we try. We try one of these three strategies. And this ties back to the whole behavioral loop that I've talked about in another video, which you can find right up there. And so these are the personal experiences. These are your thoughts about it. These are your memories. And if you think about it, a memory is a thought. And the sensations that come up. And so we try these strategies to escape this personal experience, escaping, avoiding, controlling. And there are multiple ways we can do this. We can escape into our phone, into a video game, into a movie, into food. We can try to avoid it by coming up with something else to do. Again, we can still use social media, go call somebody up and, oh, I was on the phone and so I couldn't come over, or I couldn't do this, or I couldn't do that. We'll give ourselves a rational reason utilizing these three structures, or control it. I'm just going to do this and not that. I'm going to do what I can to keep this in place. And if that fails, oftentimes if one of these three functions fails, we jump and try the next one, and we jump and try the next one. Escape, avoid, control. This is the behavioral loop This is how we can get stuck inside of this. So why is this useful? Why is knowing this concept on that whiteboard, escape, avoid, control, useful? Well, if you find that you're doing certain things and you don't know why I'm procrastinating, why I'm getting more anxious, why there's greater stress, because remember, every time we jump up, we end up having to fall back down, and now we've wasted time. There's guilt, there's shame, there's something I should have done, and we're just putting off the inevitable often. If we can understand that there is a basic underlying automatic function, escape, avoid, control, then we allow ourselves the ability to objectify something that we're normally subject to. We can give ourselves some distance, hence the idea of diffusion. We can defuse, we can move away, see that there is this underlying process, this functionality of what it means to be humans, and we can do something different if we can recognize, oh, okay, I'm actually not feeling so cool about this. I'm a little stressed by this. But I also know that more often than not, if I'm using one of these three strategies, it's not going to work so well for me in the long run. Now, this is not to say, though, that escape, avoid, control are bad things. Don't typically like to use good, bad. Better it's to look at the context and say, is this approach going to be useful or not useful? Because there are plenty of places where escape, control, avoid work quite well. For instance, you find yourself in a place that's not safe. Escape it, or if possible, avoid it. And if I have to go through it, well, then I want to make sure that I have my cell phone with me and that I can control as much of the environment as I possibly can. So there's the control component, escape, avoid, control. I mean, part of the reason why we automatically default to this, because a long time ago when we were little, we actually realized escape, avoid, control generally keeps us safe, but it doesn't always move us in a direction that matters. So keep this concept in mind, escape, avoid, control. That way we can stay out in front of it. We're aware that the mechanism's even running there, and check the context. Is this going to be useful in the long term, or is it just a short-term solution? And what else would I need to do once I've recognized this to move in the direction that matters? And am I willing to deal with a certain level of stress that comes with moving in that direction? So what you can do then is, if you are so inclined, write down the areas that you're having difficult time, where you keep doing the same thing over and over, getting the same result. Write down that situation. Where were you? What was the thought? What was the sensation? What did you do? A, B, C, antecedent, behavior, consequence. Then go back into that B and just take a look. Is there escape, avoid, control? Is that the function of the behavior, of what you actually did? And then can we find something else to move around that? Can we change something at the very beginning in that A component so that we can get a different outcome? And sometimes it means going well outside the box. So there you have it. Escape, avoid, control. Three of the main behavioral responses, main functions that we as human beings utilize in order to get away from, to deal with, to handle with those difficult personal experiences. I hope that this was useful. I hope that you'll be able to apply this in your life. And until the next time, may you be well.